Hello and welcome to the Worship Band Builder Podcast, where we are working with you to lay the foundations for skillful worship. I'm Eric Roberts, and I'm joined today by my lovely co-host, Emily Roberts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to podcast number 20.
Podcast number 20. Whoa, we've been so busy.
I really can't believe we've done 20 of these. I feel like we just got started.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like yesterday we started it, and now we have 20 podcasts.
I mean, maybe we need to celebrate or something.
Yeah, let's celebrate. Let's eat ice cream right after the podcast. Part of my diet.
I'm just not sure how that would make it any different than any other day for you.
Yeah. Well, my favorite ice cream, since you asked, is, what is it now, mint chocolate chip?
I think it has been mint chocolate chip recently.
Yeah. That's what I've been
Which is
eating.
a good one.
Yeah, mint chocolate chip. And Emily's favorite ice cream is nada. She's like, I don't want to eat ice cream.
I don't eat a lot of ice cream. It's true.
Yeah. And Augie doesn't like ice cream either. Well, I am thinking about creating an effective song set list for my worship band this week, and I don't know what to do. What do I do, Emily?
That was an interesting segue.
Yeah.
I liked that. From ice cream to set list.
Yes, ice cream to
All
set list.
right.
It's not like when you're standing in front of the ice cream aisle, like yesterday at Walmart. We went to Walmart, me and Augie, and we're just standing there looking at all the ice cream. And that's kind of what you're doing every week when you're looking at your songs. You're like, what do I do? And I was just thinking like, they didn't have any mint chocolate chip at first. It was
no.
it was hiding. And I thought,
What did you do?
I thought pandemic was for real pandemic. And then I saw two little gallons kind of tucked behind the other ones. And I was like, oh.
Ooh,
So
boy,
yeah.
barely missed that bullet.
Yeah. So you're looking at your songs and you're trying to create an effective set list, and you got to do this every single week. And Emily, these are great notes. Why don't you
thank
take
you.
us through this?
Well, first of all, let's talk about what is an effective set list. What do we mean by effective?
Well, and I thought about this because we're working on a new special secret course for a new special secret partner that we'll probably unveil.
Unveil, maybe.
We'll unveil in a couple weeks as it comes down. But I was thinking about this for that, and I was thinking this is one of the keys to becoming like a successful worship leader, because your song set list is almost everything. Once you've done everything else, if you pick really bad songs or if you don't have the right flow, a lot of awkward moments happen. So you're asking, what is it? It's one that really helps people worship and that flows and that feels good and that just does what it's supposed to do. So first of all, what are you trying to do? And then that set list can really mess you up.
That's
really.
true. Well, song selection in any genre can make or break you, or maybe not genre, but like for instance, if you were a contestant on a popular television show, your
Like American
song
Idol?
selection, like one of those, yes, could totally make you a star or ruin your opportunity.
Yeah, we've seen that like in American Idol where they pick, or some other show like that, where they pick a song that's like, oh, that's terrible. And then the next week they pick a different song that's like amazing. You can tell. And that's kind of what I do as a worship leader. I know these aren't your notes yet, but I pick the songs that I like and that I'm comfortable with. When people pick my set list for me, when I'm like forced into that scenario and I don't get any say, or they say, hey, you're going to lead worship, here's the songs we're doing, I'm like, I just freak out inside. Because I'm like, oh, what if I'm not good at those songs? What if I'm not comfortable? What if they don't flow the way I feel comfortable? So it's a personal thing, and it does make you or break you. I was thinking that is going to be part of the core of our new course we're writing.
Yeah, so effective song list, again, just to reiterate, is one that flows with minimal distractions, and it encourages worship.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does what it's supposed to do. So if you're doing this worship for a healing crusade, and I just said that because I've been talking to these healing crusade guys lately, you're going to be picking upbeat songs, healing songs. It does what it's supposed to do as well. Not just it's effective because it's going. So your church, whatever you're supposed to do, you're supposed to lead people in worship. You're supposed to have people celebrate and then pray. Your set list should facilitate that. It should successfully do that as well.
Yes.
So it does what it should. Sometimes what I'm trying to get at for all of you out there, hanging on the edge of your seat, is sometimes the set list is meant to do other things.
Yes.
For the event.
Yes. So we will get to that, but I want to start with organizing your Big 50. You remember your Big 50? If you listen to the podcast, I don't know, maybe it was...
It was like last week, I think.
I think it was just last week, yes. So that would have been maybe 19.
Go listen to it. It's a good one.
The songs that you are regularly using, you want to organize them into 3 groups. Your fast songs, your mid-tempo songs, and your slow songs, your ballads, okay? Because that is what's going to help you plug the songs into the right places in your set.
Okay, good. Yeah, so if you notice me, I'm going to open up with a fast song almost 99.9% of the time. So no need to look at all 50. I'm going to look at our top 10 or 12 or 15 fast songs, and I'm going to be thinking, what is the fast song? And that's a good tip, Em.
Well, what you're probably going to find is that you don't have very many fast songs to pick from. Okay? Your fast songs are probably going to get used over and over again because there just aren't a lot to choose from. And that's been true for a lot of years. So songwriters, take a note, write some fast songs for us.
Yeah, I like this.
We need more fast songs.
As well, this would be good because you can, when you're looking, okay, I need fast songs, when you're choosing new songs or when you're looking, this would be a good way to have part of your list organized, because you're going to go, oh, they want like a song before the offering. That's probably going to be a mid-tempo or whatever, and you're just going to look at that part of the list.
Right.
So good deal.
So sometimes it's good to start with a fast song. Let's talk about our first song. Okay, and what I put in the notes was consider the state of your congregation as well as the intent of your service. And what I mean by this is think about the people walking in the door. They are trying to get their kids to children's church, and they're trying to remember if they turned the crock pot on, and they, oh, who's here at church? Who's not here? What is she wearing? People have got a lot going on, and that first song...
Do you know what's going on? And now that's interesting, because that's what's going on in their heads.
Yes.
You know what's going on in every guy's head?
In the girls' heads. Okay, yes. What's going on in the guys' heads?
Where's the coffee? And do they have like chocolate donuts here?
There you go.
That's it. That's all I'm thinking.
Okay, so there it is. Still not thinking about worshiping God yet. We're just trying to find a seat. And if somebody sat in your regular spot, then you are just reeling, right? So
nobody wants my spot. But
so anyway. You have to give people a chance to get in the door and get settled. And that is what song number 1 is for. Don't expect people to be raising their hands, weeping. No, that is not happening in the first song. They're just trying to get settled in the church atmosphere. So give them that chance. A mid-tempo song is fine for that. First song is also a good place to introduce a new song because they're kind of getting it subconsciously, but there's not a big obligation to try to sing it yet. They can just look at the words maybe once they get settled. They can kind of absorb the song. Okay, it's a good time for that. Fast songs are a good opener when you know that this is going to be a celebratory service, and especially if it's a song that everybody already knows. If it's Christmas and you want to open with Joy to the World, right on. People are going to be into that. They're going to come in and they are going to get on board with your festive vibe.
Yeah, I will put one point in here as I adjust your microphone as well.
Help me, will you, dear?
Lots of camera looking going on, so YouTubers are still happy. But I did learn this from my years of doing this. If you put a super fast song on the top, then it's kind of awkward. It can be, and this is performance-based stuff. You want to put a mid-tempo song, and I like that because I said fast earlier, and I want to say I have done really fast songs first. And it can almost come across as kind of obnoxious to your audience. Like if you put your most rockin' fast song on top, at the first position, people can feel like, whoa, like, is this like, so I've noticed, I learned this, I forget when, but it was many years ago, that mid-tempo song is that first song. Your second song after the welcome could really be your rockinest big song.
Yes,
number 2.
that's a good place to put a fast song.
So fast and fast, I would still call those songs fast, but maybe they're not as energetic, you know. So you don't want to, as a rock band, when I used to play in like a Christian rock band, you know, you kind of think you're going to come out with your big song, but the audience sometimes will stare at you like, I'm not sure I even like you yet. So I'm not sure I'm really going to get into that yet. So you gotta warm them up a bit. I've noticed like Hosanna, Paul Blanche song, it's like that. It's kind of a cool riffy song. It's kind of up tempo, but it's kind of a mid up tempo fast song.
Yes.
Is a great opener.
And you'll have some of like those mid to fast. Those are great for an opener. Moving on to song number 2. Song number 2, as Eric just said, can be a fast song. That's a good place for a fast song. Now you're going to get people who are going to clap along, maybe raise their hands if that's appropriate at your church. Okay, this is not where you want to put a slow song. Slow songs, generally speaking, should not be in slot number 2.
Yeah, unless you were, you know, doing an abbreviated service and they were doing communion right up front and, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, this is typically...
There are exceptions, but in a typical service, what a slow song will do there is kind of kill the flow. It's like asking somebody to marry you on a first date.
Ooh, is it like too intimate too soon?
Yes, it's just too soon for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because slow songs are going to be a little more intimate, and people are still probably, even your normal congregation, they're still just kind of getting the feel.
Because if you think about it, song 2 is really kind of like song 1 that they're going to participate in.
Ah, good point. That is a good point.
So we're not ready for slow songs yet. Song 3 is going to depend. Is song 3 your last song? A lot of churches only have 3 songs for worship up front at this point. And if that's the case, then a slow song is appropriate here.
Yeah, so let me break in there. We do right now, our format is mid-tempo, or this is what we do. We do one song, then we do a welcome, and then we do usually 2 songs, a little prayer, and we do a recap of that third song, and then we do sermon. So there isn't a lot of time. Now further back, or churches with longer services, we would do like 4 worship songs before the sermon. And in that case, you might do a fast tempo, a medium tempo, and 2 slow songs or whatever. So you can kind of mix it up. But
yes, if you still have the luxury of putting as many songs as you want up front, 4 is nice. That gives you enough room to build a worshipful flow. 3 is tough, but that's kind of what we're going with now. So
you got to be more specific with these. If you only have 2 songs or 3, like you have the opener, the welcome, and then you have 2 songs, you know, you're probably going to pick a mid-tempo and a slow. That's what we should be doing there. Mid-tempo, slow. Now, this all changes depending on how much time you have and all that. And we'll go into this in other episodes, but there was a time where we would do 4 songs, and the 4th song would be another up-tempo song, because the pastor was saying, I want it to be like right before my sermon. I want people to be excited. So we would do opener, then we would do 3 worship songs, a medium, a slow, and then a fast. You know,
okay, so that's really 5.
That's 5, yeah. Opener was kind of a throwaway. Now, at this particular church, I say it was a throwaway because a lot of people were not even in the sanctuary at the opener.
Yes, people did not typically come in on time.
And they were out there coffeeing, talking, and literally it was weird.
Did you just say coffeeing?
Yeah, coffeeing. That's what I would call it. They were coughing and talking, and so our opener was more like just hey, we're actually going to do this, people.
It's time for a church if you'd like to come in.
So in that scenario, and I don't know, this is probably not for this episode, but it was like the 4 songs we had in our worship set. It was like medium, or it was like fast, medium, slow, worshipful, and then we kind of went back into a medium or an up tempo, so that when the pastor came out, it was like, woo! Now that can work.
Yes.
But you have to be intentional.
Yes. You have to be intentional. Right on. So, offering. If you are doing music during the offering, consider how long it takes for offering to be collected at your church. A lot of churches, offering takes about 30 seconds. Okay, it just does not take very long. You don't need a whole song there. It gets a little awkward when people realize the plates have long since been passed and we are still sitting here. So a nice thing to do there is just an abbreviated instrumental version of something that you did in the set list, in your worship set list. Maybe even that last song you did, just do a little recap. Do maybe just the verse and chorus and wrap it. That's a good way to handle that. If you're at a bigger church and it takes a couple of minutes to get the plates passed, then you may consider putting a whole new song there. And that might even be a place to have a special, or it might be a good place to introduce a new song while you've got everyone sitting and paying attention.
Yeah, they did that at Fairhaven a lot. The offering would actually be a break point, but then after about 2 verses, when the plates were done, then they would be like, stand up, and they would sing this big, everybody would sing along for another chorus or 2, and then the pastor would come out. So you could do that. And I'll probably say this at the end too, but what we're talking about are little methods. One thing that I would suggest you're doing as you're thinking about this, pull out some of these methods, start doing them over and over again. So we do the same service order practically every week now at our church. And the good thing about that is we're used to it. The people are used to it, and we know what works and what doesn't. It isn't like a bunch of weird, every week we're changing it up. Like, we're going to do the offering first, then we're going to do this. I've been at churches where that's the case. The pastor's kind of thinking, well, this week we'll do it this way. And everything is, and what that does is creates a bunch of awkward moments for you to talk about that week. Well, it was really weird when this happened. So you can do some awkward moments, but as you figure out, like, this flow works, you can create, like, that works for our timing, works for our pastor, and then you can start planning out, like we've talked about in past episodes, for 3 or 4 months at a time, because I'm going to need 3 songs and then an offering. I'm going to need 3. So that's I know off your notes, but that's okay. Relevant to how, as you're starting to hear us talk and go, oh, that would be interesting to try this, you're trying to get to a place where you're like, this is the format that works for us.
Yes. And a lot of churches now, I realize, don't even collect offering. They just have boxes in the back and say, put your offering in the box on your way out, or that sort of thing. Give your offering online. I'm just talking to churches that are doing the traditional pass the plate offering.
A lot of people pass the plate. It's the best part of the service for me.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm just being funny. It's the favorite part of the service for every pastor.
Well, God does love a cheerful giver.
Yeah, and pastors love cheerful givers. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm just going to keep picking on all you pastors out there.
Stop.
I love it. Pastors, I've been in funny scenarios where I'll just say, like, well, let's just take out the offering, like when we're trying to do a set list and stuff. I just say it just to mess with them, because they look at me like I just
take out the offering.
I came off some kind of alien planet. I'm like, well, we just take the offering out this week, and it's like they just. I can say that because I've been in ministry long enough with a lot of pastors. So some of them are very excited about the offering moment, and some of them are like less excited. They want it to be downplayed. But however you do it, your people are going to be used to it.
Yes, we don't like change. We like to know what to expect when we get there.
Yeah. And passing the plate still does work. There's lots of statistics out there that I was reading about with some pastors years ago. And if you don't pass the plate, then sometimes people will give less or whatever. So passing the plate's good. Pass the plate, pastors. It's good to do.
Okay. Finally, a closing song. Some of your churches wrap with a closing song. And this is kind of a wild card. Generally, you could say that a slow, reflective song is good there, so people have a chance to just kind of soak in what the pastor talked about that day. But if he's talking about, spiritual victory or going out there and reaching the world, and it's more of a rousing sermon, and you know that ahead of time, you could send people out with an up-tempo song, and that will be in their heads all day probably.
Like a Ron Canoli song.
Yes, sure, Ron Canoli.
Like God is Able.
Yeah, because that was like, how long ago?
I don't know, but today I was talking to my friend about that, and he was like, if Ron Canoli comes on, revival's going to break out. We were talking about it's like, I've lost my, but yeah, you could send people out with, some big song. It could be slow, it could be fast. I think the closer is just one of those things that you have the ability to change up a lot depending on the week.
Yes, there's more room to be flexible there. That could also be a place to introduce a new song. That's another place where people are just sitting and potentially listening. They could sing along, but they don't feel like they have to right there.
Yeah, if your pastor's speaking on some serious topic and you come up and start singing some song like Trading My Sorrows or God is Able or some big, I'm saying all references to people. Half of you watching this are not even old enough to remember those songs. So ha ha ha. Trading My Sorrows. If you're gonna have a really somber sermon about confessing your sin, and then you come out with Trading My Sorrows, it's gonna be awkward.
What's the one? Lion and the Lamb.
Lion
Is that
and the
what
Lamb.
It's called? There.
Okay, for all of us new worship leaders, Lion and the Lamb, we're gonna come out with that song, and it's gonna be weird. So just fit the song to the moment and use the song for the ministry. That's going to guide you, I think, in the closing. But the closing can be used in so many ways. It can be anything, but it has to be artistically, spiritually tied to what's happening. I mean, I'm saying this, but I think people would do that. They would just say, we're going to do this song, and it's just going to happen. Well,
in order to, what did you say, artistically and spiritually tie that to what's already happening?
Yeah.
You have to be in communication with the pastor. If
Yeah.
you don't know ahead of time, then stuff like that can happen where he's preaching something very somber and you end on a very peppy tune.
Yeah, like God is Able. So I think something that really sparked in my mind as we're going through this is just having a format, testing the format, making that format yours, and then, molding it and being comfortable with it. As a worship leader, the set list is important, and it's important that you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, that's because you asked what makes an effective set list. A lot of it is about you as the leader. If you're uncomfortable with it, if it's awkward, if it's not working for you, it's probably not working for them. It's not going to be effective.
That's a really excellent point.
It's not like it's all about you, like being funny, but it kind of is when you're working as an artist. If you're comfortable, if you're feeling good, if you know where the flow is going, people are going to flow with you, and it's going to be.
You're the leader of the worship, and they will follow. If you look uncomfortable, they will also feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, they'll probably start looking down, drinking their coffee, taking bathroom breaks in the middle of your song, stuff like that. That will make
stuff like that.
Yeah,
just
will make.
For example,
start reading their iPhones while you're trying to pray. Well, that's good, Emily. Thanks for putting this together.
Sure, honey.
She's been putting this together because I've been running. I'm exhausted right now. I should have talked about that in our 5 minutes before the podcast. How exhausted I'm feeling.
Oh, but it was such a treat to talk about your hair and Ricola throat drops.
If you missed our 5 minutes before the podcast, let us know what you think. Also, go to Worship Band Builder. This is just part of what we're doing. We're doing more courses. We're doing more YouTube videos. We'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. Really important because we're growing the channel every day, every minute. And, it's a passion of ours right now is to grow that, to reach more people. And so share it. Share it on your Facebook page. It makes a huge difference to us. And also check out the resources at worshipbandbuilder.com.
Well, how about tell us about your song set list? Give us one that really worked well for you. I would love to hear some of your best set lists.
Oh, that would be good. She
Yes.
is brilliant. All right, we'll see you on the next episode.